Okay, greetings everyone. Welcome to, I believe this is week 10. Um, I hope you guys are doing well and surviving and staying healthy in this time of total insanity. Um, so tonight we're going to talk about a couple different things. This week, the theme is distorting, transforming, and smart objects. And I think I covered the smart objects in the module, so I'm going to leave that for you guys to look at. There's already some videos that I've pre-recorded, but I wanted to dedicate this Zoom session to exploring a couple different features of the crop tool that I don't know if you guys are aware of, that are super helpful, and also how to distort images. There's a lot of different tools in Photoshop that we can use to distort a layer. And this is especially handy when you're trying to do mock-ups and you're trying to take a label perhaps that you created, a design, and you're trying to wrap it around a bottle or a bag of some sort. You need to be able to distort that image to give it a sense of realism, to make it look like it's actually part of the bag. Um, so tonight, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so let's first take a look at what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, um, in this lesson, we're going to be correcting image distortion and changing perspective and converging verticals. Um, so that's kind of the goal. Let's start with the crop tool. And there is a part of the crop tool called content aware. This is something that's relatively new to Photoshop, but I wanted to share this with you. So with the crop tool, um, if you go to crop something, you select the crop tool, you get these handles, right? And now if we open up the handles and do something like this, what's going to happen is it's going to expand out the canvas a little bit, and it's going to add in the background, which is, there's nothing in the background, so it's black. We know that we can also crop tighter, right? We can crop this in like that. And remember, that is a destructive permanent change when you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and undo it. Now, what happens if, let's say we capture this image, but it's not wide enough? Let's say it's too narrow to fit into the print specs that we need. So in this case, we can use the crop tool with something called crop aware, content aware. So I'll go ahead and use the crop tool to make the selection. I'll go ahead and open it out. And this is really what I need here. I just need a little bit of um, extra stuff here on the end that I didn't capture in the field. I really should have captured this wider, um, but I didn't. So let's say I need this for the purposes of a bleed, or maybe there's like some extra copy that's got to go in here, or maybe it doesn't quite fit the specs that I need. I can go ahead and open that up, and then I'll come up here into my tool options. I'll select crop aware and click OK. Now it's going to take a few minutes, or a few seconds actually, to make the calculation. And what it's going to try to do is create additional content. And with something like this, it does a pretty good job. It is not perfect. You can see here, there, in terms of like this area here, it's pretty seamless, but there are a couple spots here that it doesn't know what to do with it. That's easy enough. You can come back in here with the rubber stamp tool or the healing brush and kind of smooth that out. But most of the time, this looks great from here up. The sky looks perfect. There's just a few areas here that would need some retouching. But most of the time, this does a good job of putting you in the ballpark. Now, this works better for something like this with kind of a pattern texture. We've got the sand, we've got the sky. When you get into areas with more detail, it doesn't do that great of a job. So here, for example, looking at this image, I can tell you right now, it's probably going to do a great job with the sky because of this pattern. It's going to create a nice blend. It will probably do the same with the water. And then maybe this area here, because there's just a lot of detail, a lot of lines, it's not necessarily a pattern. Photoshop's not going to know what to do with it. So we'll go ahead and open it up. Same as before, maybe, 20, 30%, and click OK, and we'll see what happens. Now, depending on the complexity of the image, it may take a little bit longer. This one, it is taking longer because there's a lot of things going on here, but we'll see what happens. It's not that bad. You can see some spots here that are going to need to be fixed. There's definitely some repetitive weirdness going on here that Photoshop didn't know what to do, but I mean, this is a great starting point, and you can see I've added an additional, 20% to the image that I didn't have before. If I've done this design and I'm right up to the edge and I forgot to put some bleed into the image, this is a great way of doing that, adding that bleed area without having to reshoot the image or resize or anything like that. Okay, so that's the crop tool with content aware. It's a very handy feature. The warp tool, I'm not going to go into in this Zoom demonstration because I have a whole lecture about that. As a matter of fact, it's a very similar scenario where we have a design, we're using a smart object and we're trying to apply that design to the bottle, and we're trying to follow the curvature of the bottle so it looks realistic. Crop tool with perspective. Let me show you how this works here. If we have an image, let's say, well, I'll come back to this when we talk about perspective here. So when you're shooting architecture, especially, I shot architecture for a number of years, and one of the rules, let's say, of architecture is it's important when you're shooting it to have straight lines. What happens when you're shooting down low here, shooting up, you get these converging lines, and that's not what you want, especially when you're shooting architecture. And there is a way in the field to correct that. It used to be we would shoot architecture with what was known as a view camera, or you could shoot with a tilt shift lens. And when Photoshop started adding features to correct for this, I pretty much stopped using lenses out in the field because it was so easy to do in Photoshop. So what this is called when the lines are converging like that is called keystoning. Okay, so if you're next to a building and you're looking straight up and you're tilting the camera up a little bit, trying to capture that, you'll notice that the vertical lines kind of converge in the top. That's called keystoning, and we want to fix that because this is what we want, something like this that conveys that the reality of the scene. In reality, these are straight. Architecture should have these straight lines here. All right, so we're going to show two methods of correcting this perspective. One is using a transform method, and the other one is using the lens correction filter. So if I come back here into my image, what I first want to do is I want to create some guides. So I'm going to come over here and put a guide right where I want the edge of the building, where I want that edge to be, and then I'll do one on the other side, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll make a copy of my layer because I always worked it non-destructively. I'll do a transform, T for transform, and now what I want to do is hold down, I want to hold down Control, whoops, I hold down Control, it allows me to pull one side. If I hold down Control Option, it allows me to skew the image. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so once I have them lined up, you'll notice that when you use this method, it kind of squishes the subject. So I want to compensate for that just a little bit. And I'll do that by holding down Option or holding down Command, sorry. Holding down Shift and go ahead and pull that back up to something like that. Okay. And I'll go ahead and click Apply. And then since I've created this on its own layer, I can turn the layer on and off, and you can see the before and after. Now, having seen this, if you weren't aware of this before, you will start to see this more and more when you see photographs of buildings. You'll see that this correction is there. So let me show you another method here. So that's using just standard transform. Another way of doing it is if we come up here to lens and lens correction. Let's move that there. I can come over here to custom, and then this will allow me to do several things. I want to transform the perspective. I want to transform the vertical perspective. So then I can just drag this slider the other direction, and it does the same thing in one step. Click OK. All right. So we know we can use the transform tool, and we can use lens correction. Let me show you one other thing that this tool is really handy for. So in this image, you'll notice that that the sides of the image are kind of bubbled out a little bit. And this is an example of what's called barrel distortion. This is an aspect of using a wide angle lens. So you have a wide angle lens on your iPhone. If you hold the iPhone close to you and you take a selfie, what do you get? You get something like bubblehead, right? You get something that looks kind of like this, where the head is just a little too big for the body. And this isn't because she's got a big head, it's because there's a wide angle lens on your iPhone. And wide angle lenses are not flattering, especially when it comes to portraits, because they create such distortion. Now, we use wide angle lenses sometimes because we need to, maybe the room is too small, or we're too close to an object. And so we need a wide angle lens so we have a wider field of view so we can see more of the area that we're photographing. So that's the case here. The person obviously used a wide angle lens because probably there was not enough room to capture everything. So they used a wide angle lens here. And you can see, they used a wide angle lens because these lines are not straight and they're kind of bulging out. Well, how can we fix that? This is a type of distortion again called barrel distortion. And we have a filter that will fix that called the lens correction filter, same one. Let's go back in here to lens correction. And I'll come over here to custom. And right here, this is where you would fix your barrel distortion. On one side, you have barrel distortion. And on the other side, you have the opposite of barrel distortion, which is pin cushioning. And I will go ahead and rotate these so you can see the difference here. Huh. It's taking a long time to update. I'm having some problems with the computer right now, but let's go ahead and fix the distortion on this image. So we don't want to barrel it out, right? Because that's what's going on with the image right now. We want to go the other direction. And if we go the other way, you can see that it takes care of that barrel distortion. We can also, with this filter, rotate the angle a little bit if we need to. So maybe something like that. And I can click my preview on and off so you guys can see the difference here. Here's the before, here's the after, and we're straightening out these lines, okay? So let's go back to this image of the girl. Let's try the same thing. So this was shot with a very unflattering lens. Let's see if we can possibly use the lens correction filter for this. Go ahead and zoom in, go to custom, and I want to do the opposite of barrel distortion. I want to pin cushion the image a little bit, and look at that. It is shrinking down the face a little bit. I can also squeeze the image in this manner a little bit. I would have to crop this. You can see here's the before and here's the after. So it does make the face look a little bit more proportional by using this. And click OK, and then I just come back here into my crop tool, and I can just go ahead and crop that in. Okay. The before and after. All righty. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. We did talk about the barrel distortion here. And I hope that you guys find this valuable, especially for this week, where you're focusing on your project 3s and the mock-ups. I should also say that the last assignment that you guys did, the MoMA assignments, I was just blown away. A lot of creativity, a lot of really, really excellent work. You guys did just a fantastic job. And the level of work coming out of this group is pretty amazing, and I really love sharing this work with others. But this group assignment really was pretty fantastic. So kudos to that. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'll be online tonight for a little bit longer, but you can also always set up a face-to-face Zoom session. We can do that also if you guys need additional help. But other than that, you guys take care, stay safe, and I will see you guys next week.